thank you so much for being here today, and I really appreciate being at events like this because, you know, strong women and being a strong woman is something that I've always aspired to, and being in the platform that I'm in today, your strength is always tested. And so I was really thinking about what I would talk about today, and I decided that I would talk about empowerment in what it means to me, but also in the people that I've come across in my lifetime and what has got me through. So empowerment of women, as you know, we know, is one of the biggest movements in the world that's happening now. And really, it made me think about where those other times came from. And I actually used to feel excited when I'd see old footage of women in the 60s and 70s when they used to stand up for their rights, when they really fought for equal rights and burning bras. I thought that was amazing. And then when a couple of years ago, I watched the movie The Suffragettes, and I always heard about the suffragettes, but I didn't know what they'd actually gone through to get there. Some were jailed, some had their children taken away from them, some were put in mental institutions, and all it was for the right to vote and to have your voice heard. And as much as I didn't want to be those people and I didn't want to have to go through what they went through, when I watched it with my daughter, I'd say 3 years ago, we laid there holding each other, howling, thinking how wrong it was and how intensely great it was to be in this world. And then the Me Too campaign came out last year. And as horrible as it is, I all of a sudden realised that we're in the time of change. The world and the wave of change to be a woman and a man is here. I have a most amazing husband. I have a beautiful son. And they respect women. And I think it's really important that men are part of this movement because we're here to be together. We're here to be women and men as individuals, but as a group that supports each other and respects each other. Nothing less and nothing more. Thank you. So I thought I'd go through the things that I feel is part of that and also part of my journey of where I am today. So I've got a few little quotes and things that I've got. I did write this at 4 o'clock this morning, so I'm sorry if it doesn't make sense. Fear. It tightens the chest, stops your voice, and creates a tremble. Failure. It questions your ability to rise. Then I looked it up of what the dictionary meaning would be. Fear. A feeling of induced personal danger or threat that occurs in certain types of organisms which causes a cosmetic change in the metabolic organs and functions, and ultimately a change in behaviour such as fleeing, hiding or freezing. Then I looked up failure. A state or condition of not meeting a desirable or intended objective and may be viewed as the opposite of success. Then I put them together, as we all know, is the fear of failure. So the fear of failure is when we allow that fear to stop us doing the things that can stop the things that we can move us forward to achieve our goals. Fear's real, failure is real. But what that doesn't bring into mind is the power of the human spirit. The power of the human spirit can overcome anything. And that's where people really underestimate who you are inside and what you can achieve. If you tap into your human spirit, and anybody taps into their human spirit, anything's achievable, and you can overcome any fear, any failure, and any fear of failure. When I was talking about them before, the women of the 60s and the 70s and the suffragettes, I wasn't just talking about them as individuals, but I was talking about them as a collective. Because as a collective is where we make change, and banding together is how we make things change. I've had so much interest in the past 4 to 5 years about who I am as a person, how I've achieved what I've achieved, how did I get here? How do I juggle all these balls? How do I become, a working mum, a single mum? How was I a singer? How was I this person that became a designer? How did I get on TV? How? Oh my God, it becomes overwhelming. But there is not one thing that makes you those things. There's not one thing that gets you there. It is a huge collective. There's a collective of so many things that get you there. And these are the facets of what I know is me that has got me here. Fear, failure, the human spirit, but most of all, the people around me. That's what's got me where I am today. Once I learned to tap into my energy of fear, I realised that fear's great. Fear is amazing. Fear is energy. You've got that chemical imbalance going through you. You have to choose how to use it. Fear is not something that's in front of you. Fear is what's inside of you. So when you learn to take that fear and use it as a positive energy, it actually becomes inspiration. I've had many times in my life where I've been fearful. Many times. And 15 minutes is not the time to tell you. There's lots of my story that a lot of you don't know, and there's a lot I would never tell you. But fear has been part of my life for a very long time. But I made a choice, and I made a choice to use that fear in a positive way. And that's how I get here today, is because my fear is a challenge. I love a challenge. It gets me up in the morning. It's what keeps me alive. So if you look at your fear as a challenge, you can do anything with that. Challenges will come and go. It's how you react to it and how you choose to take them on. I know somebody said to me when I was at the talk of the International Women, it's really difficult as a single mum to work. How can I run my business? What can I do? And I did say, sometimes the advice is walk away for a bit. Sometimes if it's really hard, you can walk away. You don't have to do everything. It's not the 80s anymore. We don't have those superpower shoulders. We don't have to be everything and do everything. We want to do everything, but they come at different times. You've got to be selective what you choose to challenge yourself with, because what happens is you can burn yourself out if you choose too many challenges. I know, I've done it. It's affected my health, and I've done everything to keep myself to a top level of health. So it's really important to make sure that those challenges that you accept, that you're willing to accept or walk away from. Which brings me to the next one, of failure. Do not fear failure. Failure is grand. The lessons you get from failure is amazing. You think as a little child that you may have, touched the fireplace when your mum says don't touch the fireplace, and you burnt your hand. That's failure, because you didn't listen to mum and you burnt your hand. That's put in a very simplistic way. You failed to listen. When your mum goes, don't do that, you go, oh damn, I burnt my hand last time. I can't do it again. That is a very simple way to describe the lessons of failure. And the lessons that I have learnt from failure is not that I don't want to do it again, is that I actually get time to reflect. Reflection on your life, reflection on little jobs that you do is actually really exciting. It's one of the most amazing things that you can do is fail. Failure was something I hated when I was younger, because what came with failure was the fear of humiliation. You don't want people to know that you failed. You don't want them to know that you couldn't actually do what you set out to do. So I've got to say that learning to embrace failure was probably one of the biggest things that empowered me to move on in my life. I failed in things in my teens, in my 20s, in my 30s. We'll stop there. It keeps going. But I always say, if you stop learning, you stop living. So don't be afraid of fear and don't be afraid of failure. In business, we can't achieve what we achieve by ourselves. When I started my own business, when I first left high school and college, I had my own small business. And I was so scared of what people would think of me that I tried to do it all by myself. I thought I had to be the accountant. I thought I had to be the project manager. I thought I had to bring up my kids with a powerful mum. And I thought I had to be everything and be everywhere. I failed miserably. Miserably. And it took me a long time to work out that I had to reach out. And what I was going through at that time is reaching out was actually weak. And as I said, that was the 80s. If you reached out in that time, there was no childcare for me at that time. There was no single mum refuge. There was nowhere to go. I had to say it and keep it to myself because otherwise I would be embarrassed. People would look at me in a different way and I would feel humiliated of what I could and couldn't achieve. So when I got into business, as I got older, I discovered networking. Oh my God, has anyone networked in the 90s? It's the most traumatising thing in the whole wide world. Everyone's got to have an elevator speech. Everyone's got to have a business card. Everyone's got to look right, fit the part, fit a mould, and be the person that that person next to you expects you to be. I didn't fit one of them. I never fitted one of them. And the fact that I didn't fit in that environment gave me so much strength because I wanted to be more than what I was and I wanted to achieve all these things I dreamt of and things I didn't even know I could dream of. And it actually taught me not to really look at, if you're telling me I can't do that, I'm going to show you. I've got to say I never had that attitude of like, you say I can't do it, girlfriend? I was going to show you. I never had that because I didn't have that power in me at the time. But I always had that in my mind of like, well, why can't I? Why can't I do that? And that comes down to questioning what someone's telling you can't do. And that becomes a lesson. Well, you're saying I can't do that because of, and then they will tell you. And then you go and research. And well, actually, I can do that. If I do that, that is so far out of my depth. I'm probably going to fail at that. But you know what? I'm going to do a leap of faith. I've made so many other mistakes. I may as well make another one. Let's see what happens. So once you get past that, you can move on. And that is in business. Then you find a mentor. Then you find an accountant. Then you find a project manager. Then you find a PA. Then I've actually got two great people here at the moment who's part of my management team and part of my social media who are with me today, who actually are more friends than what they are business associates. But I can't do that by myself. I can't record my vision, filming myself as I do this. I need someone to do it for me. So why is there a stigma in reaching out in our personal life? If we're going through a hard time emotionally, why is that a problem? We're all allowed to have all these things for us for a business to achieve, to say how great we are, to see what we can do and change the world. But why is it so hard to reach out personally? And that's why I am talking today, because I feel what Doncare does and so many other companies like this gives you the opportunity of a collective of people to help you. And I know when I went through a lot of hard times in a marriage and as a single mum, I didn't reach out and I felt like I never could. And I didn't know the facilities were there. And I think it's really important that we talk about things like this, about facilities that can help people to empower people. I did a lot of it by myself and I actually am proud of that. But what I think the biggest thing out of all this, and this is what got me through cyberbullying, and this is what got me through so much, is that I learnt as I got older, but I learnt that you've got to have your champions. And your champions aren't the people that are, "You're amazing, that's fantastic, oh, you're so good, what's going on, oh, yeah." No, your champions are the people that will watch you sprint ahead and say, "You go, girl." Your champions are the people that will sit next to you on the park bench and say, "You really stuffed up that time. What are we going to do about it?" And then your champions pick you up and dust you off and say, "On your way. You need to do it yourself now." They're the positive people in your life that no matter what you do will be a voice of reason. I've surrounded myself with so many champions. I am incredibly blessed. But what comes with champions is that you actually get negative people who want to see you fail, people that don't like what you do. And not everyone's going to like you. I get it. I have the most annoying laugh in the whole wide world, but some people think it's great. So we're all different. I think the thing is that you've got to work out in your life who are your champions and who are the people that are going to bring you down no matter what you do. And it's really important that you embrace fear, you embrace failure, you engage your human spirit and you have people around you. But at the same time, you have to do it for everyone else that's with you. You can't expect your champions to be there for you 24/7. You've got to be there for your champions as well, and also for the people who don't have champions. Thank you very much.